Hi guys, so I came back and it was a little bit late. It's still a little bit late, but I decided to do another one of the Q&A questions I had. And this one was a question that I myself had, and I think another person had too, which was, what is going to happen assuming that Trump will be removed or will leave the government? In acrimonious fight, and he's going to have, basically will have to leave the government. Let's assume that, which is something that was seen in a lot of the readings. What is going to happen to those people who were appointed by him? The reason why I thought of this question was that I was very intrigued about Neil Gorsuch. He's one of those people who has a very creepy vibe. I have to do a reading on him. But I look at him, he reminds me of an older version of the American Psycho. Sort of good-looking older guy who's so cold. He has that iciness, incredible. I mean, really, it's almost like that's who Jared Kushner wants to be when he grows up. Anyway, so because of him, I was just thinking of him, and there was an article somewhere about how many judges the Trump administration has been appointing. Appellate judges, I forgot how you call it. Basically, very conservative judges that can't be removed. So this is an interesting question, I think, and pretty important question about the future of all these people that we don't know about, right? Because there's just first of all, there's a lot of people involved in the Russia Miller investigation, as we have seen. And then, second of all, who are these people that are being appointed? I don't know how many people are going to be involved. It's just a lot of people. And we want to know, because if we're going to remove, we the people, right, quote unquote, are going to somehow remove this government, if Mueller finds that they have really stolen the election, then somehow it's not that it's feasible to think that those people will have to be removed, okay, or something like that. So I did a reading on that. That was the question, what's going to happen to them? And at first, I did a basic reading that I had done for the question before, but I didn't think it was clear enough. It's funny, after seeing the whole thing, it is. There's more detail, and sometimes I feel like I should learn to stop at the last card, but because I am so specific about the question that I have in my mind, I really want to know. I'm not satisfied with just what they've told me. I expanded the reading. I pulled more cards. So, let's get started. And so, the first part of the reading has 20 cards and 10 positions. Basically, 5 columns and 2 rows. So, I'm going to start with the center. First card, disappointment. And this is so interesting, it's actually pretty funny. Who's disappointed? So this is the card for Russia. The lady card always comes up in a series of readings, says Russia. So Russia is disappointed. Why? Remember, this card came up for Trump and Betsy DeVos as the incompetent card, the person who can't do the job, and a lot of money. So Russia is upset because even though they gave them a lot of money, they are so incompetent. That's literally, sorry, what this is saying. Isn't that funny? That's hilarious. And obviously this is not a reading about Russia, but this came up, right? And so, by the way, when I saw that, I find it super interesting that, of course, as you all know, I'm not in favor at all of the Russian influence. But we have to admit that the people in the Russians who are doing this, and Putin especially, is a very, very, very intelligent person. Extremely intelligent. Extremely analytical and strategic. And then they're dealing with the dumbest people. Remember how, maybe you don't know this, but there was an article a while back about Carter Page saying that he's been wiretapped since 2014 or something like that, 15, because there was an issue with some Russian embassy, something, I forgot, it was a while back. And he they wiretapped the Russian something in New York, and they found a conversation of the Russian agents talking about how dumb Carter Page was. They didn't use his name. There was a code name for him, but it was found that it was him. So it's just like they were not just mocking him. They're like, oh my God, this guy, can you believe how dumb he is? And I feel like this is true for 99% of the people in the administration, right? And that's what that's what this is saying, that they're so disappointed that even though this is a card of like large quantities of money, so they gave them a lot of money, they're so incompetent and can't get the job done. So this is fun. Anyway, so going back to the background, the first column on the left, relationship, partnership. The sun basically coming to the partnership or business relationships coming to light. And this is pretty interesting. I'm actually loving these Q&A readings because it tells us stuff that I never asked, but it's like super interesting to know. So anyway, so this is a card of an offer. See, the man got an offer. This sometimes is shown, there's a lot of explanations about this card, and the most common one is a person who has offers but doesn't take it. And I actually ended up discarding this interpretation in favor of just seeing it as an offer, because it's super clear, right? This is the event, the offer, and the person is sort of apathetic. But to me, that's not relevant necessarily how they feel about the offer. The event of the offer itself is more important, I think. Anyway, so we have, what do we have on top of the offer? The government. So putting these two together, it's pretty interesting. It's showing that the relationships are going to come to light, and the offers that were made in the government. So what I get from here is that these people were offered jobs in the government because of pre-existing business relationships. And I think we know that, right? But it's just reinforcing this again, that they made a lot of offers. And these are not necessarily money cards here, but that they will look into the relationships and how these relationships led into job offers in the government. And so then we have, this is pretty interesting here. I'm going to read the next column and then I'll do the rows. Empress upright. Pretty interesting card, especially in this context. This is a card of female elements. It's also a card of wealth and abundance. And basically nature at its fullest, everything material, okay? And we have this here. Basically reputation for opulence, okay? And underneath we have very competitive environment, with a lot of different factions. So I remember how I would read these articles about the Trump administration, and they would say there was the Bannon faction, there was the Kushner faction in the White House. So it's basically not only competitive, but divided. So here's a card of news and a visitor. So I get the sense that this is to me, it's a little bit complex. Like, how do I interpret this? Is this news, or this is also a card of visitor? And it's showing me that I have to try to think. I can't really force a meaning into something. I have to always, when I'm not 100% sure, I have to just take it as literally and as squarely as possible. So basically, a reputation for opulence and news about factions and infighting. So basically, although the reputation is that they have money or that there's a lot of money, but basically the facade is like this, very beautiful facade, but underneath we're going to find out that it's just satisfying these jobs or this like appointments all these people is made to satisfy all these conflicted factions. I'm using the wrong word, am I? I don't know. Okay, And then this relates, this is pretty interesting. Okay, to show you the Lenormands. Left to right. So government, news, a lot of money. So there will be news about how big, oh, this is pretty interesting, right? Big money, quote unquote, influenced the government. Oh, and this is pretty interesting. Oh my God, this is much pretty, it makes more sense to me now. So this is the sun, right? In the context that we've seen, it basically means bringing the light into something. So there will be light. What will this light be about? It will be about moon, which is reputation. And what is this reputation? How? Through Russia. So in a way, oh my God, this is pretty crazy when I think about it. I hadn't seen it as clearly as I see this. But in a way, it's showing that big money influenced the appointment of these people, but also Russia. So there would be light about how Russia created influenced the reputation for the people they appointed, and how they were appointed based on how their reputation was with Russia. Okay? And that's that. Okay, for this part. Now, continuing the reading to the right, it confirms the problems that happen when this is the way that you appoint people. So this is the Queen of Pentacles upside down. To me, that means a person who overspends and only cares about money. It's funny, I saw this, and the person that came to my mind was Steve Mnuchin. There was I don't know if you've seen it, but there was a photo of him and his wife, and I think it was I forgot the name of the place that prints money. And the woman, she was dressed like she was an extra on The Matrix. She was like this or whatever. And then she was posing with the money, long sheets of money. It was so funny. So this is what it reminds me of. A person who only cares about money. That's the only thing it's not about abundance, but it's about just money. Because abundance, you could look at Earth and think of it as abundant, right? But this is all about money above all else. And so this is the secret. The secret about money. And this is Temperance, the card of balance, upside down, imbalance, and instability. Very crucially, instability. And what do we have on top of instability? Dog. Interesting card, right? Because you would think friendship is very stable, but these are the basically loyalists that come with the bring instability, right? Because this is the value system, right? It's all about money at all costs. This creates instability and only attracts people that are loyal both to the secret, to this money above all thing, and the result is total instability. Okay? And interestingly enough, so this is a card we just saw that in relationship to the last reading today, which was the child and the wrong family values, right? It's pretty interesting. Card of guilt. So because I asked the question about a group of people, right, who the appointees are many, the reading is showing that they are part of a family, right? Not just family values, but they are in a way this family upside down with upside down values. And it could also be, of course, those who have the wrong kinds of values, but I think it means both. A family in a kind of more symbolic sense, but also the family with the wrong values. What did it get? Guilty is charged. So this is very interesting because it's saying that the entire group is guilty, right? And this is a page of wands upright. Doesn't show very much upright, always upside down. And the interesting thing is that, so I looked it up just to make sure again, and it said new beginnings, new energy, just burst of energy, because it's a fire sign. It's first court card, like at the rank. So there's new after this. There's something new, but what is it? Snake. We talked about this. So the snakes, it's showing, right, that it's people with the wrong values and the family with the wrong values, a bunch of snakes, in other words, are guilty. Okay. But then there's a new beginning. I don't think this relates to them being new. I think it just points to a new beginning after the snakes are found guilty. And this will confirm in the next part of the reading. Okay. Because I wanted to know, my question was that I still had the question after I've saw this part of the reading. I thought to myself, okay, so are they going to leave or not? Because, okay, fine if they're guilty. How do we know that all of them, what does that mean, right? Are they still going to be there? The question remained. And I'll just show you, just do the rows for this, just so we're clear about the meaning. So a lot of money, loyalists, it's pretty interesting too. So the money, the big money loyalists are snakes. So the system, right, this relationship where money makes loyalty creates or brings or is caused by snakes. So basically one, I think in a way one is equivalent to the other, right? So it's the snake, this situation creates this, where loyalty is bought, basically. It brings snakes, okay? And here is interesting too. Russia, secret about Russia, brings guilt. So that's another storyline. Okay, now this is very clear, right? There's nothing else to say about that. All right, so going to the second part of the reading. Just drink something. Hope to be quick with this one too. This is interesting. So, okay. Look at this person. Let's guess. My favorite. Mr. Miller. Love you. Here's his back. So it's the first card on on the second part of the reading. What does it bring? The anchor. This is so funny because so basically what I get from this, obviously we know he's the prosecutor, so the anchor means he's giving them a hard time, right? Because the anchor also means a long time. So whatever he brings, he's going to give him a hard time. Basically time in jail. That's what this is saying. And it's saying here, Knight of Wands reversed. I think this is belligerence and people who have anger management problems. And then the card of corruption, theft, loss. What is it? So he gives hard time. Oh, Mr. Miller. Just want to say, Mr. Miller, that we love you. We're very appreciative of the work you do. Okay, we pray for you, we think of you. Right? Kiss to Mr. Miller. Okay. All right, Mr. Miller, we know that you're doing the right thing. You're going to be there for us. Okay. All right, so here he is, Mr. Miller. Anyway, so this is the anchor. So again, he's giving hard time to who? The people who have anger management problems and are corrupt. And how are they corrupt? Money, expending the corruption, right? People who use money to expend the corruption in a way, because the stars here means expansion. So the corruption expands. Basically, hard time to the corrupt people who use money to expand corruption, right? Who are related to corruption by money. And then I'll show you here. Oh, I wanted that. Oh, that's interesting. It's funny, you look at cards, and then sometimes meanings bypass you. And then when you have, like I said, that's why it's important to put the story together, because that's when you get the whole picture. Okay, so this is a tower reversed. It's showing this is obviously something outside of your control, something falling apart. This is, we've seen in the context of these readings that the tower reversed means wanting to cause the destruction, artificial destruction, right? It's like how Steve Bannon says that he wants to destroy the government. This is exactly it. So the pain, this is a physical pain and stress. So there was a lot of stress as a result of them trying to destroy the government. And this is also, so the strength card, it is what it is, right? Internal strength, strength in general. Upside down means exhaustion, lack of strength, I think. And this is a very interesting card to show up on top of strength because this is a card of health. So it's showing that, in a way, this is, you know what I feel like? This is an X-ray of their administration, right? The consequences of having these people who are appointed for no reason other than money and who they're friends with and their role in getting and coming from this money, right? Or the corruption, expanding their corruption. And then another very interesting card I'll talk about it more when I show the cards. So this is a card of nostalgia. And this is a card, when it turns upside down, it's basically the wrong side of nostalgia. And we could argue that all those ideas that they push, the racism and the bizarre wannabe Victorian, I don't know, even there's just like a very bizarre nostalgia that they push, right? And I think this is it. It showed up before. And what do we have? The shady dealing. So in a way, okay, let me go put all of this together. So we have trying to destroy the government is painful, creates a lot of pain for them and their administration. And then being weak, basically this shows me, remember how the question I had was, are they going to continue? Or are they going to leave? And I feel like in a way this points to them becoming weaker because it's showing that the strength is upside down and the health is weak. So they are under a lot of stress, their health is weak, and their attachment to these outdated values, in a way, what I get from here is that the attachment to the outdated values is a facade for backdoor deals. Okay, so they use these fake values to justify all these things happening in the background. This probably illegal or shady things happening in the background. But this shows that they're weak. There's a lot of stress, a lot of pain, and that ultimately this has caused them to become weak. They have weak health, okay? And that the nostalgia is used only as a means to obscure their shadiness, okay? And then the last part of the reading, which is also pretty interesting, and it shows again the new election happening. Okay, I'll show you the cards. This is a person, when you're almost there, working hard, huffing, puffing. When it's turned around, it means a person who is willing to do anything to get what he wants. And I think it describes the president well, right? I mean, can you imagine a person who basically was capable of essentially selling the country, right? To pay off his debts. That's what it looks like. So who's that on top of it? The older man. And then, okay, in the context of this, you have two very nice cards. So you have the sun, and I think this comes the sun in the more traditional sense, really great, the spring or life coming again, what is it, a new election, an election or choice, okay? So after the man, the lesson, because the last row of the second readings is always the lesson. What is the footnote of this? Is that the man who was willing to do anything to get what he wants eventually brought about a really wonderful burst of energy and something new, something beautiful, election. And people asserting them, it's like a person asserting yourself. The people asserting themselves through this news, through a new election. So in a way, I think it says the amoral, corrupt person gave way to a bright future, a new choice, and people asserted themselves so they could get a new start and or a new person. Okay? All right. So that's it. So even though what I really wanted to find that I haven't found in this reading was the scythe, because I love the scythe card. It shows up for most people, but this reading essentially, as far as I can read it, It just says that people are guilty, and it describes the environment that happens as a consequence of this corruption, right? Where people are appointed because only because of business interests, and that it creates a lot of conflict, it creates a lot of backstabbing, and we have this again. We have this center, people who are very incompetent, but get money anyway, and that's showing that even the Russians are upset at them, and this creates a lot of imbalance, instability, but that ultimately those snakes are guilty. There's going to be a new beginning, and that Robert Miller gives these people a hard time because those were bullies, right? Angry with anger management problems, who were corrupt and expanded this corruption through the use of illicit money. And then what happens in the end is this, because we have this figure who was willing to do anything in order to get what he wants, we ended up with the new situation after he leaves, which is a very bright future, a new election, and we the people asserting ourselves either through a new person or through a new beginning. Okay? So that's the message. Yes, I think they all leave. The government is found to be guilty, I think, as a whole. Okay? Meaning, yeah. I think that's pretty clear to me now. Okay. All right. Thanks for watching. And that was what is going to happen to the appointees of the Trump administration. If and when Trump is removed, will they be forced to leave as well? And what I'm getting here is, yes, it's a new, it's like these two cards, the Sun and the Child, the very end cards, are saying that it is a completely new beginning. Okay, that's what I'm getting. All right? Okay, thanks for watching.